Let's go a different way.
When I walk down the street, people look at me as if I'm an alien, a freak. They don't understand what I am. Some are looking at me because I'm a woman, and women get looked at here in a way that we are not used to in North America. There's a lot of disrespect, there's a lot of inequality, there's a lot of lack of control. It's stressful living in Istanbul. And everyone manifests stress differently. Some people manifest it through their digestive system, migraines, neck aches, back pain. I developed an eczema on my hands, and they constantly have cuts on them. I have a really nice one here that's just closing up, and as it closes, another one will open. I have no grip. When I touch things, sometimes they fall out of my hand because I can't grip them well anymore. Sometimes I have difficulty typing on the computer or writing because of any pressure on any of the cuts. It's quite painful. It's amazing that I have no fingerprints. I don't want any fingerprints. I'm happy not to have fingerprints. It's exactly what I needed. It's what I was seeking. I didn't ask for it to happen this way. But that's what I was seeking. To get rid of this I-ness, this me-ness, this who am I?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Rahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim. Ghayril maghdubi alaihim.
Del orden y de la institucionalidad. Firmado Augusto Pinochet Ugarte, general de ejército comandante.
亲爱的爸爸，很久没有给您写信。这儿闹了大旱灾，我一直担心我的花园花草可能都枯死了。Dear Father, it's been a long time since I've seen you. The drought here has been devastating, and I've been burdened with the fear that my garden would not survive. But thank God the rains came and brought it back to life. I thought I'd be relieved. That garden is like my childhood. But the truth is that I'm not. Dear Father, I think I'm in trouble. The nightmares have returned, and I'm afraid to sleep at night. I don't know what to do.
My dear Isabella, tomorrow is your 7th birthday, and I wish I could be there to celebrate it with you back in Durham. This is the most important birthday in the history of our family, even if you don't know it yet. But I have to be in Chile right now, working on a film about our family's long life of exile. This is your great-grandfather. I wish he were still alive. I have so many questions. How did he make it through the 20th century? He was the son of a Russian revolutionary and lived through the pogroms and the Soviet Revolution of 1917, escaped from the fascist military coup in Argentina in 1944, was expelled from the US by McCarthyism in the 50s, and then moved to Chile, where my father also followed in his footsteps and joined the democratic revolution of Salvador Allende. I was 6 years old back then, the son of a writer and a revolutionary. And a very Chilean mother. And I was not going to escape that easily from my family's curse. When the military took over on September the 11th, 1973, I was dragged into exile, seduced by the thrill of flying on airplanes and visiting faraway, exotic places like London, Paris, and Rome, reassured that I would soon return, very soon, to see my friends, my family, my toys, my country. So of course, I left. I had no choice, but I took Chile with me, inside, like one big, nasty, bottled medicine, all the pain and all the joy, all at once.
Something incredible happened. I had a dream last night after Mike's first recital in 50 years. You remember my student, Mike Wallach, who was a child prodigy but chose instead to become a psychologist and abandon the piano. Well, now he wants his childhood dream back. I think he's going to get it. I'm really happy for him. In my dream, I played Chopin's F minor ballade, note for note. It's one of the most difficult pieces for the piano. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, and I thought I had forgotten it for the past 25 years. And there I was, feeling every note in my flesh and in my mind like a knife. The next day during my lesson with him, I asked him if I should be careful with my dreams.
The reason why I ask you why, if I should be careful with my dream is that if I could dream, this kind of dream, executing a really difficult piece of music, get up, come to the piano, and do a fine job. And what about these murderous thoughts? I had dreams when I was younger.
I told him that when I was younger, I had recurring dreams of me murdering somebody, burying the body somewhere in the forest.
And these were so real. They came back again and again. I'm thinking, if I could do that in my dream, playing the piano so perfectly, and get up and do it in reality, I could do the same thing with my murderous dreams.
You could, but you don't.
But I could.
Yes, but I could. What do you think? Tell me, did you ever dream of killing the soldiers in the Red Army who murdered your entire family in 1949 and forced you into exile? What do you think? Do you think I could? What about you? What about you, Father? Do you have dreams about killing people?
Exile is the purest form of sadomasochism that I know, because children will do anything to survive. And sometimes, your playground is someone else's graveyard. My dear, this is where it gets tricky, because by the time I was 12, living in Amsterdam, I spoke French in school, Dutch in the streets, and Spanish at home. I resisted any of those identities with the hope that one day I would return to Chile and live once again in my childhood paradise. And all the while, I knew there was one man standing between me and my dreams. General Augusto Pinochet, the ultimate bad guy. The man responsible for my family's exile and the death and torture of thousands. He's an old man now, but he still casts a long, dark shadow, and I'm afraid that he will never return the many ghosts of the past, the stolen memories and shattered dreams of that giant shipwreck dating back to the 11th of September, 1973. But I'm not going to let him disappear that easily. I remember a Chilean family living in exile in Paris that kept a photograph of Pinochet glued to a thick piece of wood. And every day of exile, they would hammer a nail into it. They let me do it once, and I did it. And it was great. My heart was filled with rage and hate, and that was the best medicine.
这花园是我做自我反省的园地。Dear Father, 在这儿 you know I love my garden, 改变我最阴暗的瞬间。But I don't know. It's always there, like my music, the only constant in my life. This is where I prune and learn to live with my dark thoughts. Sounds great, doesn't it? But I wish it were true, that The nightmares have returned. And I feel that I have been exiled from my garden once again.
It does feel like a dream. But now that I know that it was a nightmare for some others, I don't know what to think. Where's the gift? Where's the gift?
Dear Mom, I'm writing these words to you because I'm either too scared or too angry to tell them to you in person. What I'm about to tell you is going to change our lives forever. We've been living a lie. I feel like we've been poisoned, and I cannot keep these secrets inside of me any longer. I've been through hell with you, and you took me away from the place I was born. You took me away from Alaska, from my father, from my home, to Tennessee, to a new husband, to Rhinebeck, to another divorce, to an abusive lover, to Massachusetts. You thought we were okay, but you didn't know that I would wake up at night, sweating, crying, not sure where I was, who I was, where we were going.
There is a sweetness to exile, and that's the promise of paradise. And when we were allowed to return to Chile in 1983, I thought I would finally taste it. I was starving for a country to belong to, and those first returns were like sitting down in front of a banquet. It didn't matter that Chile was still a dictatorship in a state of war with itself, contaminated by political ideology and violence. In those 10 years, family members had died, new ones were born. Everything had changed, but it didn't matter. I plunged into it and ate it all, the good and the bad, because I wanted to belong there so desperately. I kept coming back, again and again, living as if it was my last night on earth. And even when I was away from Chile, I was in the mindset of always returning somewhere. I went to school in Berkeley, California, back where I had reveled as a child, tasting and smelling those revolutionary times. I thought I could live the 60s all over again. Politics, art, psychedelia, experimentation. But in the end, the 80s were definitely not the 60s. I was just living another time. And when finally the time came to vote in Chile's first democratic election since the coup, I went to live there. I had made a home among anarchists, rockers, performance artists, gays and transsexuals, rejects of the dictatorship, rejects of society. From that perspective, I was able to see Chile for what it was, a conservative society at war with its youth, where divorce and abortion were still illegal, but the rich could get away with everything. A country still ruled by fear and hate, where Pinochet and millions like him still cast their ugly shadows. This was not my home. This was not my paradise. I guess exile truly begins when you realize that you've been betrayed by your illusions, and there is no possible return.
And then you brought us to North Carolina to become part of this community. For the first time, I thought that maybe we had finally found a home. I remember my first impressions of Zikr and the music and the people coming together. Sometimes an ecstatic state, other times nothing at all. A friend of mine once compared her first experience at a Zikr to having a spiritual orgasm. And then there was Sharif, our teacher. I was young, 14, curious, open. His words hit a chord inside of me. His smile made me feel that everything was going to be all right. His teachings resonated with the purest place in my heart. And it seemed that he could accept anyone or anything. A father figure who made me feel part of a spiritual path that was mysterious, yet simple when it came down to it. Serve humanity. There are no labels. We're all human. We're all the same. Love and respect one another, but above all, serve. But it was all a lie.
So I thought that moving back to the States and getting married, getting a mortgage, a U.S. citizenship, would be enough. Enough to bury that realization, enough to make me forget that I had been left without a country, without an identity, without a community. There you were, Isabella, in the womb, so to speak, almost ready to come out. And there I was, 3 months before you were born, at the end of the 20th century, still trapped in its narrative of life as an endless cycle of war, revolution, and exile. And I had no idea how I was going to escape from that prison.
First, it started with you, pulling away from us and sacrificing yourself, your time, your money to serve the community and Sharif. You forgot about us again. You forgot about what really matters. You forgot again about your daughters. And then a young woman came to me to warn me about senior members of the community taking advantage of young women. There was kissing, some sort of initiation. I didn't know who or what to believe. That's how blind I was. And then something terrible happened. I feel poisoned, tainted, betrayed. If this happened to me, I know there are more terrible secrets that you are keeping from me. So I dare you to look within yourself. What do you see? What do you want to be part of? Do you still remember right from wrong?
Back to the dream world.
Right. It was all very interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi said, "Are you dreaming of the butterfly or the butterfly dreaming you?" You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know where to draw the line. But in this, you have a complete structure that tells you exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a microcosm. It's complete in itself.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that makes what you would call a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like that.
Yes. It's reality and it's dream at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can't have it all.
You can have it all.
All right. I always knew that going back to the piano would let me have it all. It's true.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Once upon a time, Isabella, 3 months before you were born, I had a dream. And in that dream, I heard a song. And that song came from a country very far away and belonged to a community of mystical healers called the Gnawa. And now, I was on a train to Marrakesh. It was madness. How in the world did I get there? Go, your mother said, or you'll regret it for the rest of your life. One song, Isabella. That's all it took. One song. And I left your mother 7 months pregnant, left my job, my mortgage, liquidated my savings, bought myself a ticket, and headed straight to Morocco, to a country where I knew absolutely no one, on a dream-induced pilgrimage whose final destination was, and probably still is, a total mystery to me. It was Saturday night, and I found the Gnawa performing for tourists in the famous medieval square of Jema el Fna. In Arabic, it means the gathering of self-oblivion, because that's where criminals were once beheaded. Well, it was perfect, since I was obviously insane, and I had already lost my head. But I wanted more. I wanted to go deeper. I mean, how do you travel into a dream? How do you go past the postcard, beyond the tourist trap, beyond exoticism, colonialism, Orientalism, and every other ism that had marked my life? Maybe I had it all wrong. Maybe I needed to wait till they found me. So I did. I sat in a cafe and waited. And waited. And it happened. I made friends with a young Moroccan who wanted to learn English. And when he took me to his home that night, deep in the labyrinth of the Kasbah, I found out, to my surprise and my delight, that he was a Gnawa. The mother was a priestess, and she invited me to come with her to their all-night ritual of spirit possession. The doors of mystical Islam opened that night, and I went right through them. and I was allowed to see how a community shares its joys, its pains, and its sorrows. To dance with those women, those daughters, mothers, grandmothers, truly made me feel like I was home again. I had returned, but not to the place I had imagined. And so, I let myself go. I surrendered, and I went with them into the spiritual world. And when I came out, I was able to understand why that song had brought me here, to this little house in the outskirts of Marrakesh. I had come to hear a painful truth, that every single nail on that picture, every slam of that hammer, turned out to be a nail driven straight into myself. And if I didn't take them out, one by one, those nails would begin to pierce you, Isabella, the moment you were born. Like the Gnawa, I had to find a way to heal, a way to live, to cry, and to laugh with my demons.
Now. Haha. Just so fine. Haha. We are the wind. We are the ceiling. We are the bonding about ourselves. Tu nous know.
J'ai passé un spectacle en Germanie, à la télé. J'ai vu la cassette, je vois mes dents que je suis comme Dracula. Maintenant, je suis beau, mignon, jeune.
We don't for long, we take it in, we kick it.
Je montre les dents maintenant.
I thank you. I'll find anyone.
So I made my journey back to North Carolina, all the way wondering where in the West was I going to find an ancient community like the Gnawa that would help me take those nails out, that would help me give you, Isabella, what I've always wanted, a clean slate. You were born on the first day on my first Ramadan, Isabella, eyes wide open. I had returned from Morocco with a spark, and now I was a raging forest fire burning with the intensity of a convert on the road to Damascus.
You're listening to Bubblecast at DEM Studios, coming to you live from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This is the Sufi Central. So we have to run
Ömürler kısa.
Our lives are short.
Zamanlar su gibi akıyor.
And time is flowing like water.
Her nefesler boşa gidiyor.
And all of our breaths are being wasted.
Sabahtan akşama kadar kendinin bir teybe alsan sesine.
If you would record your words from morning till night,
neyi konuştuğunu, nefesini nereye harcadığını görüp öğreneceksin.
then you're going to see exactly where it is that you're wasting your breath to as you speak.
Can kulağını aç.
Open your inner ear.
Kendini devamlı dinle.
And be in a constant state of listening of yourself.
Hepimiz bu güzelliğe muhtaç.
Sharif Baba became my sheikh, my master, my spiritual teacher. I link to a chain of direct transmission from master to student since the dawn of Islam. Reborn, like everyone else, I was given a Sufi name. Mine was Rafi.
God, it's crazy, right? It does. It does feel like a dream.
Dear Rafi, or should I call you Rodrigo? It finally came to me, the gift I was looking for. It's 3 a.m. and again, I can't sleep. Watching those images on the TV was like watching paradise crumble before my eyes. And I keep asking myself, where is the pearl? Where is my treasure? What are we left with when the storm passes and we can finally look at ourselves again in the mirror? You know, I didn't just leave Venezuela. I escaped. I was 16 with a 21-year-old abusive boyfriend. My parents didn't know. So when my dad offered me the option to come to the United States to study, I ran. But instead of dressing my wounds, I covered myself up with fancy clothes and makeup. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know how to just be myself. So I kept running from one destructive relationship to another, into the arms of this beautiful community of lovers and seekers. This is where I was given refuge and found a true sense of self. Yes, I fell in love with everyone. But now I know I was blinded by love.
I realized that home was not a geographical place like Chile, but a state of being that comes to you when you free yourself from your false, socialized, imposed identities and love all things without labels, without grudges, without judgment. And I was told not to take those nails out, but to love them. Yes, I was being asked to even love Pinochet. You must love the scorpion, Sheriff Baba once told me. Just don't put him in your pocket. For the first time in my life, I had found a community and a true teacher I could love and respect.
When I first heard the accusations of sexual misconduct in our community, I was confused. This was not the path of love I was walking. It made no sense. Then I read those letters, all those terrible letters from our sisters about a secret path of love inside our community that led to spiritual abuse. I was devastated. My heart was broken. I was lost, again without a compass, without anyone to tell me who I was, what to do. It was terrifying. So I cleaned until my fingers bled, trying to find answers, some sense of direction. On this path, we were told to sacrifice everything for the greater good of ourselves. We were taught to give up everything, just as I had been raised to give myself up as a woman in order to make someone else happy. Every woman lives this way. We sacrifice ourselves just to be loved, to be lovable.
It symbolizes to be able to give everything in surrender, because for the Ram it's the ultimate surrender. We talk about how it's our sacrifice, but it's not. It's the Ram's sacrifice. Yeah. One day I was looking into the face of the Ram, and we're gazing eye to eye, and our breath was mingling. My breath was going in his nostrils. His breath was going into my nostrils, and I felt this sound almost in my head that said brother. Allahu Akbar walillahil hamd. And that was the first sacrifice that I gave, because I gave my brother there. I really, truly felt that this Ram was my brother. And so that was the first time that I actually felt the sacrifice, because it was a part of me that went with it.
How could we not have seen this? It was there, right before our eyes, all these years. We were so desperate for community that we idealized our teacher and gave away our power for a taste of paradise.
On this path, we were asked to open our third mystical eye and carefully look within. I was never really good at meditation, so in the beginning, I made that third eye my camera. And so, Isabella, I began traveling the earth in search of lost souls like me, who had found a home in the world and yet lived their lives knowing that they were not of this world.
I will arise and go to Aaron land. They will embrace me in their arms, in the arms of my beloved. Oh, there are 10.
I came to Turkey looking for tasawwuf, looking for the source of the tasawwuf that I was studying in Canada. with Sharif Baba. I didn't find it. I found practices that involved separation between the genders. For example, I was taken one night to a zikr. I was invited into the home, and I was herded off into a room with women. I was covered, of course, out of respect. The light was turned off, the door was closed, and we were in silence. All of a sudden, I could hear a zikr starting in the other room. It was an incredible sound, incredible zikr. It was incredibly beautiful, and I was not allowed to participate. That's the tasawwuf that I found here.
Sharif Baba would often say that we live our lives deaf, dumb, and blind to the divine love that is our ether. And like the fish, we only open our eyes, gasping for the truth, when it's too late.
One thing that was missing in my work as a semazen was a sike, which is the hat that the semazen wears and represents the ego tombstone, the death of the ego, die before you die.
So what does it feel like to turn?
Every emotion you could possibly have, all at once. And no emotion at all. And then back to feeling every emotion all at once. Anger, hatred, desire, lust, happiness, joy, ecstasy, sorrow. You feel all of those, and then you feel nothing. And then you're back to feeling all of those, and then nothing. And then back to feeling all of those, and then nothing. And if you can hold onto that nothingness, you disappear completely. You don't feel any of those emotions. There are no emotions. There's no you. There's no separation between everything that is and the confines of your body, the confines of your senses. There are no senses. There is no body. There's only the beloved. There's only what is. What is difficult to see when we look. Because most people look but do not see. Turning helps you to see without looking.
Let's see where we are.
I'm going to look for felt in my dictionary.
We were lost. We were looking for the felt maker. And we were walking all around the market, around the souk, and I didn't know the word for felt maker. I didn't know how to say, where is the felt souk? And so I'm looking in my dictionary, ketche. And I said, well, how do you say ketche? I didn't think that that was correct.
Let's see.
So we went around asking, where is the person who makes the sike? Trying to say it in Turkish with my broken Turkish. Later on, we were able to find the keçeci, the felt maker, the man who makes the sike. I never thought that anything like that would take place. That I would have my head measured, and that I would not only watch him make the sike, lift it and hit it on the table and lift it and hit it again and again and again and turn it and again, like pizza dough, and rolling it and rolling the soap out of it and really putting it through the wringer and then putting it in the washing machine, and it's turning to the left and then it stops, and then it's turning to the right and then it stops, and then it's being squeezed. The soap is being squeezed out of it, and then it's turning again to the left and again to the right, squeezed again, and sugar water is applied to it. And that the result was something so soft that it's like you were touching air, touching clouds, you're touching nothing, it's so soft. The way when my husband touches me, I disappear more, I melt.
It was there, right before our eyes, all these years. We were so desperate for community that we idealized our teacher and gave away our power for a taste of paradise. We were blind, and yet, when the time came, you were able to confront the man you loved, our teacher, with some of the terrible mistakes he had made. That's your gift. That's my gift. I was blinded so that I could see that this is what I needed. The loss of my innocence, the loss of my teacher, the loss of my community. Now, I can face all the women inside of me, mentally, physically violated, because I know we're not traveling on a caravan of despair.
My dear Isabella, when you ask me what happened to Sheriff Baba, there are things I can't tell you right now. All I know is that his downfall is part of his humanity. And I can only pray that he too someday will come to terms with his demons.
Ladies and gentlemen, the boarding area terminal bound flight 4169 with service to Florence. We're going to need 5. In approximately 8 minutes, we will start the pre-boarding process for those traveling with small children or anyone needing extra time to get to the aircraft.
Tasawwuf is burning me because that's what I need. And that's what I must be able to see, that that burning is exactly what I need, and that that's the beauty of life. When you are aware of that and you actively seek, then you can actively be aware of what you're given as you're seeking. And it's exactly what you need. then you can see the beauty in it, and there's never any disappointment, any frustration, no complaints, no sourness, no bitterness, only sweetness. That's a tough path. I wouldn't want anything less. It's not for everyone. Not everyone wants that kind of challenge. That removes your identity. That burns you, that cuts you. That causes you to almost die in a car accident or lose a loved one. And understand what that means. That it's exactly what you need. It's your medicine. That's a tough path. To find joy in what most people just see as pain.
The teacher I love is gone. My community is gone. And what am I left with, dear friend? Myself. Because the only thing that breaks is an illusion. I am left with a prayer for the healing of those who were blind and those who open our eyes. In love, Banu.
Hey, Mom. Hello. Hey. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. It's for later.
Dinner's not ready yet. You want to go for a walk?
Want to go for a walk?
Should I wait on this, you said?
Yeah, wait.
For a walk? Just finished raining.
My dear Isabella, I would never want to call the death of anyone a miracle, but that's exactly what happened the day after your magical birthday. Pinochet just died. Your grandfather is speechless. So I went down to the streets to see the proof that our curse had been lifted with the death of a tyrant. As I stood there, tears flowing, one with my camera, one with the world, time seemed to vanish. And I saw myself, right there, as a child of the revolution, before the coup, before exile, before the Pinochets of this world had entered my life. It was you, Isabella. It was me. It was paradise. Querida Isabela, te escribo estas palabras en español con la esperanza que algún día sabrás leerlas. My dear Isabella, I'm writing these words to you in Spanish in the hope that one day you will know how to read them. When people ask me where I'm from, I usually take a pause. And then I get lost in that pause. So where do you even start? How do you put everything back together again after it's been blown to bits? How do you erase all the borders of your life and in one pause find the answer? So where are you from? It's a simple question. You too will have to answer it one day, Isabella. But for now, this you can say. You are the first child in 4 generations of our family's history to reach the age of 7 without being exiled from the country they were born. And if that means you won't travel the world like a gypsy and speak Spanish or French or any other language, then so be it.